G'day, good afternoon, good evening. How are we doing today? How are we doing? Go. All right. How are we? How is everybody on this Friday evening? Another week with no signings for the first team. Wait, there was 2 announced this week. Another week, no Brian Mbeumo. Another week, no news at all on that front. Everybody just wondering what's happening. Another week. But another week where other things are happening. Plenty of other good things are happening at the same time. Not necessarily the things that everybody wants, but sometimes the things we need right now. Regardless, how we doing? How are we all tonight? 2 lives in one day? I don't know. Grind never stops. We just keep doing it. Leon and Enzo this week. Big news. I mean, that is big signing. Just saying. We did sign 2 players this week. Yes, I did get a haircut yesterday. Thank you. But how are you guys doing over there in the UK? How is it? And elsewhere, obviously. I've heard it's extremely hot over there. How are you? I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing okay. Did they blast the Clips album on the way to work or no? Oh yes. The Kendrick feature on Whips and Chains. Is it Chains and Whips? I don't remember the names now. Chains and Whips. The Kendrick feature on the Chains and Whips might be his best, like, lyrically, whatever you would put together in a long time as well. I mean, the whole album is really good, but that feature in particular, holy shit! Like, that is some of the best that I've heard from like that. I don't know how to describe it. I don't even know the words. I don't know the words to describe it because I don't understand things, but I just know that it works for me. It worked for me. Hot. You're all hot out there. Yeah, you were all hot out there. But yes, listen to the album. It is 100% worth a listen. It's on another level. It is on another level. And Boom been hitting the follow button today. I know. He's liking our. He's flirting. He's doing the little flirts. He's ready. He's flirting. He's sending the eyes over. He's doing all the things to tell everybody I'm on my way. Eventually, we will see. But yes, thank you all for being here on this Friday. Jonathan Hammond, he is twerking. He is. That is exactly what he's doing.
He's twerking.
Yep, that's right. That's what he's doing. That is exactly it. He's doing all the little things you want to see when somebody gets going. What album are we talking about? The Clips album. Clips. Justin Bieber. Clips. You know who Clips is? The Clips album. It's Malice and Pusha T. Anyway, it's good. It's very good. Yeah, that's where we are today, my friends. Thank you for being here. As you come in, make sure to Clipse, CLIPSE. Yeah, God Sort 'Em Out. God Sort 'Em Out is the album. But yeah, let's as you come in here, make sure to like the video, make sure you like the stream, all of that. And we'll get into a few things I want to discuss because there is obviously things happening at United. Besides the Mbeumo thing, the fitness aspect of things, the youth recruitment, the there's things moving on the sales a little bit here and there. A little bit of news potentially on the Barcelona and Rashford front as well today. Um, yeah, quite a few things happening on there. Look, I've made my stance clear. If you don't like my takes on the holistic nature of the improvements going on at United, and the only thing that matters to you is whether we make a significant senior signing and don't want to hear anything else, then yes, I don't recommend listening, because there's a lot going on about so much more than that at the club right now that are important. And the success of the club is based on a lot more than just who we sign for 60, 70 million here and there. There's just a lot more that goes into all of this. So there's a reason why I was positive earlier in the week and why I took that stance. And it's because of a lot of the stuff you're seeing come out on the day-to-day basis right now in terms of what is actually improving behind the scenes. And that's some of the stuff I want to get into as well here. So I got an agenda. For today. First, we could talk about fitness, okay? We talk about fitness. So, when we, I don't know why you send that message every single stream. When we look at how this team has played, one of the things that is completely true that I do wish people wouldn't ignore, because it is a huge factor, is how many times, I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks this, but how many times over the last few years do we wake up, or, you wake up, you guys go out your whole day, but I wake up in the morning, I go in to watch a game at, 5, 6, 8 a.m., and I watch the team play, and it looks like they've just woken up when I have. They're slow. They get beat all over the place. They do everything wrong. They're getting injured left and right. They can't run. They look like they're second best to every duel, to every second ball, to everything. This has been a problem for years, and it's not like we've just complained about it. It's not like it's been the first time that this has been brought up. It's been an issue under most managers that somehow Ten Hag seemed to make even worse over the last few years during his time there. Not just him. There's a lot of reasons for it beyond the manager, which is, a serious problem, in there. And that's, been an underlying issue, because you can't, like, it's been out the bottom in terms of what's acceptable, in terms of running, in terms of sprinting, in terms of playing, in terms of staying fit, in terms of doing all of that. It has been absolutely out the bottom on that front for such a long time. And it's funny, like, there was brief moments where it seemed like we were better at it, but it's one of the things where, like, you go watch Liverpool. Horrible that I always use them as an example, but that is one of the things, again, that they addressed first, that that the players always looked the fittest, the fastest, the most willing to fight under Jurgen Klopp for the first few years, and they built on that, and it made a massive difference in how they played. You go play Liverpool, every game you know what you're getting: relentless running, for his whole gegenpress type of thing, right? But you need that anyway. You need the ability to do that anyway. United have looked second best all the time over the last few years. They've looked second best, and asthma, yeah. The inhalers is a bonus, but they have looked second best, constantly over the last few years. Jason, thank you for gifting the memberships to the community. Thank you so much with that. I appreciate that, man. I'm sure people here do as well. Thank you for that. Thank you for always supporting, the channel and everything as well. It means a lot. Oh yeah, let me put this up. What creative question am I gonna do today? All right. I'd be liked a prisoner like Mbumo. All right. Like how I never try to pronounce the surname. I'm just gonna mess it up. Temiolekis, something like that. This is a huge issue, and this is one of the things where when Ruben Amorim. Oh my God! No, I am a prisoner like Mbumo is winning the poll. I may have done it wrong this time. My intentions were good here, but they have they might have done me over because people are very upset about Mbumo being locked up. I hear it, man. Free Mbumo, free Mbumo. He just wants to pursue his dreams, man. Let his dreams. Hold on. Confusing. Those are all confusing. Anyway, maybe we are all prisoners. Yeah. But look, this has been a big difference. Okay. Like I said again, we're gonna need these players to get better and better and better and better as time goes on during all of this, because the reality is, in keeping Bruno in the team, the fact of the matter is we've decided, all right, we're going to go for fewer signings but more proven ones to make an impact, and that means we're going to have improvement from 10, 12, 15 people in the team over the course of the next season. And a big part of that is fitness. I mean, when you look at like the team, a lot of people will look at the players and say, all of these players are crap now. And some of them, we bought young players that haven't really ever proven anything. Young players have never really done anything. But more often than not, we've seen players come in and get worse.
I believe we play good football this season. Folded hands emoji. Folded hands emoji.
Indeed. And we see them get worse, and we see them get worse and worse. Back to your channel, Matt. We see them get worse and worse. And that's the opposite of what we need. We're going to have to get players. Like, there's no amount of players we signed this summer that we can't, that are going to save us. We can't. So we're going to need some of them to build on things, and we're going to need these other guys to improve. And fitness has been a big issue. One of the main assessments, of course, from Ruben Amorim in coming in mid-season and observing over all this period of time is how unfit, a lot of the players are. And probably as well, how many of the players who are there would be so much better if they were a step faster, a step quicker, a beat stronger, if they had a little bit more by way of stamina, in the team, and that they can't compete. I think one of the best examples of this is when you watch us play against like Newcastle, for example, a team that is really physical, a team that is really hardworking, a team that is really fit. And that's one of the things they've prioritized, even though I don't think they're the most talented team in the Premier League, or even particularly close, quite honestly. But they do have a lot of extremely hardworking players who are really fit and physical and set for the Premier League. So this is obviously one of the major kind of priorities. It's kind of like that floor raising thing. You look at Tottenham, why'd they finish in 17th? They've got quite a few good players in that team. Well, the injuries, the lack of fitness, the things like that go on. I think that's a real cause for concern with them. In the same reason, us not being fit, some of the injuries that we've had, things like that, have really cost us over the years. So, this is obviously, a big priority for United is fixing this, is getting more fit. And that's why I've been commenting recently, like, there's a lot of alignment behind the scenes within how this stuff like this. I spoke about it in particular, the fitness plans, the diet plans, things like that. Everything's okay.
I am really happy how lean our players came back this summer, but a bit worried if they can cope with the physicality of the PL. Put some muscle on, lads.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I think it's all about build, you know, as well. Like, what is the right fitness for individuals? Because I look at some of them and it was like they obviously were heavy. We've seen for a while that a lot of times people are too heavy. Ooh, calm down, everything's okay.
Ocasio Valentin with the team in armed video.
Right, that's the guy who was coming in to do the head of team operations from Portugal, right? We've got no like official something on that, but he was there, wasn't he? But it is all body type, and one of the things I wanted to share is when Ruben Amorim joined. I'm just gonna point to this video that I did way back then with my great mustache, all the way back in November, talking about Paulo Barrera. This was my video then because I did a bunch of research on the staff that he brings with him. Paulo Barrera uh, is on his staff, and is his whole thing is fitness, and he's viewed as one of the most progressive in this sense, fitness and people in the industry. He did his studies at John Hopkins or Liverpool. Is it John Hopkins? I don't remember. Maybe I'm confusing that with an American thing. But the Liverpool University. He's been around England. He knows the business. One of the things that happened when he came in with Ruben Amorim and Sporting is they had some of the best rate of lowered injuries in all of Europe. We covered this last year at some point, but John Moore, thank you. Over the course of the season, over the course of the entire season, injuries from Johns Hopkins is in New York. Yeah, the injuries under Ruben Amorim were lower than like any other manager. He was one of the best at preventing injuries. And Paulo Barrera's whole philosophy, he's done a whole paper on all of this, talking about soft tissue injuries, things like that, is he said that it's really not the amount of games that leads to soft tissue muscle injuries, and in a sense. Now, obviously, what he said is it's about the load, right? He's saying that you have to manage correctly, where if you are having a busy team, a busy period, you have to lighten the load in training. Now, this is the inverse of what Ten Hag did, which was completely blitz the players during the week with a heavy load of running and training while they had busy weeks, so they'd go into games even more tired, more injuries, all of that. So this is an ongoing process, and we started to see as well by the end of the season, players returning from injury quicker, fewer occurrences, fewer recurrences, things like that as well. They'd actually dropped off quite significantly. We had a weird instance with like a few impact injuries all at once, but beyond that, things kind of improved. And this is a huge part of it. Is there's a huge focus from Ruben Amorim on getting his team fit. What he did when he was there at Sporting in the first case was a huge part of it, making them fitter, making them faster, and reducing the number of injuries and days wasted, and utilizing this guy. Definitely utilizing his staff and their views on this, and they think it's a huge part of it. So that's an important thing that I think is key to kind of fit in with. So like Sam here says about having their own conditioning programs, tailored made, things like that, all of that. I shared that this morning as well because it's completely true. It's a huge part of what makes it work, and we saw that Amorim's concern with Kobbie Mainoo was not talent. It was the fitness and conditioning aspect of him, where he kept picking up muscular injuries over the last couple of years, impact injuries, and then muscular injuries under all of that. And Kobbie's, got to improve in that area to calm down, to make everything's okay.
Fitness won't stop Onana errors, we need to replace those error-prone players. I get it, we need like other areas like tens and street, but we need more TBH.
Ooh, calm down, everything's okay.
What's the latest with Mumo? Will we sign him?
I think we will. But look, I nobody disagrees. Again, just bear in mind what I'm talking about is that there are multiple things that go into it. Because again, all I'm trying to say here is that we've spent an enormous amount of money on players, and those players have failed. You know what I'm saying? So the point is that it's like we can't go spend more money and those players fail. If we don't fix these things that we're talking about, if these things aren't resolved, the things that I would say are fitness, fitness and injuries is one. Number two, culture within the dressing room. These two things, if we do not fix these two things, then every time we bring someone in, we poison them. We bring in Lukaku. I mean, that's not all necessarily his fault, but and we've seen it so many times again. Players come in, even from the youth levels, they come up, and then they get big. They get bulky. They start getting injuries. These things happen. Like they slow down. Even Alejandro Garnacho, I think, looked slower last season than when he first came into the United team. Correct? I'm the only one who thought that, but I thought he's slower. I thought when he came into this team, he had an explosion of breakaway pace that was hard for anybody to keep up with. When I see him last season, he's not running away from anybody for the most part. It's and this happens time and time again with players. And that they get in and they get worse. They lose some explosiveness. I mean, Rashford, we saw him get much less explosive over the years. We've seen Højlund. He was running when his first season he came in. Even then, he was a sprinter. He doesn't even do that anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, and again, there's other potential reasons for this, but almost everybody looked slower, looked like they had a weight on them last year. Obviously, Casemiro, even, obviously he's getting older. He's getting older, but at the same time, he wasn't that slow his first season. He wasn't that slow his first season. He was playing with Christian Eriksen. His second season, he improved. He got really kind of slow, and so there's a lot that goes into that. There's a huge base of things that has to improve that. Fitness and injuries and club culture, these things have to improve pretty much no matter what. Or any work we do is going to be undone in a market. I mean, you look at someone like Cunha. If you watched him last year, you watch him for Wolves, you watched him his time as Premier League, he's insane physically because he's kind of got that Bruno engine where he's very lean. He can run forever. He's a bit faster. Yes, he walks and things like that, but he can run faster. He can move quicker. He can do a lot of things, and he has a big explosion. We don't, and Brian Mbumo as well, a player who's got a different kind of body type, but very explosive. We can't have players losing that kind of explosiveness when they come to United, losing those tools where they can run by people, where they can run by players. I've watched Cunha dribble defenders, run by people, and Mbumo run by people. We've got to have people be able to do that. If we bring them in and they can't, and they lose all of that, then it's all for naught. Because at the end of the day, speed is huge. Being able to be fast, being able to be quicker, and just physically beating people in that respect is still a huge part of the entire thing. Um, um, so yeah, I think that's kind of a huge, um, that's kind of a huge issue with us where we've been at. Um, Obviously, that there's the other things. There's all the other stuff that we have to fix, at this club. Um, but these are some of the major things that without it's all for naught. And
Just
this,
want to send my regards to James, saluting face emoji.
thank you, appreciate that very much. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Osimhen's going to go to Galatasaray. The other factor here that I would say is like, when you look at again, I'm just telling people to kind of face kind of some reality on certain things. And again, none of this is to say we don't need to sign players, okay? Just again, I cannot make that clear enough. None of this is to say we don't need to sign players. But I want to show you, like, if you look at Ruben Amorim's first summer at Sporting, what actually happened. Here's his departure list. And there's other people he kicked out essentially as well. But here's the departures. Okay. 51. Here's what he brought in. All right. And this was January, I believe. This is what he brought in there. All right. The reality is, like, I see people say, Ruben Amorim is going to be, they're hanging him out to dry, things like that. I get it. I get why people are saying that. Because I think you're thinking with a lot of the managers that we've had who have been so focused on transfers that it's the only thing that they believe is going to improve the team. And then they get those transfers and they don't improve the team. He needs players for sure. But one of the main reasons he was brought in is what he did at Sporting in the first case, which is one, on a shoestring budget to start, on a negative net spend to start, cleared out tons and tons of players, removed massive numbers of players, promoted youth and used them within the first team, and didn't, and got a few key players in and then raised the levels of everything and organized it. And that is the same thing that he's intending to do here. Everybody knew we weren't going to have a massive budget. Everybody. From Amorim to everybody else knew we were not going to have a massive budget this year. The decision was made consciously with Ruben Amorim to approach the window in the way that we have, to say, okay, his feeling on the matter, people aren't going to like it. People aren't going to love it. No, it's not. They didn't bring him in for different plays and then gave him nothing to suit his style. That's not it at all. People aren't going to like it. Are really not going to understand, what he's going to do and what he wants. His view is that we were improving in a lot of ways at different parts of the team. Thank you, Rai. Appreciate it. Ray. That we were improving in many different areas and that goals were the biggest issue in the team. And that if he had some goal scorers, they would do significantly better than we were last season. And the conscious decision was made, let's take the money that we do have and get a couple goal scorers. And then we'll deal with what else we can in the plan beyond that. But his feeling pretty much is we're going to change the way that this team plays. We're going to clean house. He figured out who he thinks will fit, what adjustments he needs to make, how we're going to play, how we're going to improve, and to add a few people. He's being backed in that respect. And as well, to utilize whatever youth is possible to promote into the first team, which there are a few who can break into the first team. So he's not unhappy with the way that United are doing business. Of course he wants to get more people in, but you're talking about a manager that is the opposite of a checkbook manager, right? People are used to it. We bring in Jose Mourinho. I love Jose, but Jose is a manager you need to give £1 billion to. You need to rebuild your entire squad for Jose Mourinho with transfers because he's going to blow off half the team and he's going to demand lots of players. We brought him in, then we didn't back him. It's closer to what we were somewhat building. The closest manager actually in this case was probably Van Gaal, where he was building something on a basis of a system with essentially budget players to a large degree, a lot of young players integrating into the team and heading in the right direction. And he was. I did not like the football. I didn't think it was a good fit for United in that respect, but he was building something, right? Ruben Amorim is probably most similar in terms of managers we've had to him in the same concept of he's not a checkbook manager. You build something consistent, coherent out of the whole team. And so it is a whole holistic approach to the whole thing. He's not unhappy with it. Having 120 million to get 2 elite goal scorers is the way that you know, is the way that he feels best, because he feels that the rest of the team is going to improve significantly under him next season, and that he has a way to organize it, especially with one game a week, that he has the players, he has the youth players he'd like to use, and the other aspects of everything that is improving will get us better results. And if we can add some elite players on top, not stopgaps, not take 120 million and spread it out on 5 more maybe players like we did last summer to a degree, but get a couple elite players in the building, then to raise the levels, especially in scoring goals, because he knows we need elite goal scorers in the club and we don't have them, that will improve. So this is all a part of Ruben Amorim. So point being, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But he's not a manager who's going to sit there going, well, we're screwed because I didn't get 200 million to spend. You know, it's just not the way. It's just not the way that he's dealt with. Every single year at Sporting, he comes from a club where they would take out generally their best players and sign a couple new ones, and he'd have to figure it out and work with that. His ability to get the most out of players is why he was hired and to integrate this. So we'll see, but he's not unhappy with the play. He's not sitting there like at loggerheads with the executives. He's not being hung out to dry. I've said this before, like Ruben Amorim knew what he was getting into. Now, some things may be a bit more difficult. He might have been frustrated that he couldn't get the results that he'd hoped for, that it's taken a bit longer than he wanted to on the pitch, or that some of the cultural aspects were worse than expected. But he didn't give, you know, the speech and the things he said at the end of the season for just no reason at all. He does mean it. He went into this completely eyes wide open. There is coherence and clarity behind the scenes with them. That's all. He's not being hung out to dry by management. He's actually quite on board with what's happening. Again, we need to get Brian and Boom over the line. Well, one of the things that is happening that is a huge positive, overall, is of course the youth recruitment side of it. I've talked about this a lot, that we're going to keep heavily investing on the youth side. I think this is what they've done best. And I think what this tells you, if you can see the big picture aspect of it, is that if we had the money, we would be doing a lot more at the senior level. The reason we can do all of this at the youth level is because we don't have the money, and it's not expensive to do it at the youth level. So we're going to continue doing it at the youth level, but we can't spend like this and go crazy like this at the senior level. The youth level, it's cheap, it's affordable. You can sign 5-6 top youth talents from look at what we got: Cheeto, Heaven, Kone, Leon, and you look at this story from Scoop and Laurie Whitwell about signing 2 more young players, Seth Ridgian and Tyrese Nubisi. I think I'm pronouncing those right, but these are 2 extremely highly rated youth talents in England. And these are the things that they have to do to build. I'm in the wrong section. To build things for the future, to grow for the future. These are the things that we're not seeing the benefits of today, but we will see them in 4 or 5 years from now. We will see them in 2 or 3 years from now. We will even see them, some of them potentially sooner. Just even you look at the youth things that we've got, we have a bit of a dearth here where the team is out of youth talents breaking through that are of serious quality. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons we're missing. It's been a long time since Rashford, broke into the team and came up, and now he's leaving. Garnacho came in for a short time, but was able to make an impact. You could argue we mishandled him from that point forward, and I would agree as well. And that maybe things would be different today if we dealt with things differently and with him in the beginning, in his first season and 2 seasons, maybe. We need a lot more of these players because we need more of them coming through. And you look at people ask, how can Chelsea spend? How can City spend? How can these clubs continuously just pump money out? these are the reasons. You know, a lot of these players come through and they either can get into the team or they can go on loan and they can be sold and they get us enormous amounts of profitability at the end of the day. So you look at one like Enzo Canabiec, we announced him this week, loan him straight out to Lausanne. So we spend a small amount of money. If he performs well over there, if he grows, he comes back into the team, or people have seen him at a senior level play football, and you can sell him for a lot of money. These are assets where you don't have a huge amount of money that you've spent on them that's crippling you, that you're not paying huge wages, that they can get into the first team, or you can move them on for profit that allows you to continue to sell, to spend. And it's something United have not done. When we did do it a little bit, you can see how it's worked out. That's how we got Ahmad, you know. That's how, you know, that is how we got Ahmad. That's how we've ended up with a few of the talents that we've needed. That's how we ended up with Garnacho. That's how we ended up with Alvaro, by actually investing in youth like right prior to Brexit, and it's resulted in a decent, you know, amount of money coming through. Could be more if we dealt with it better, but this is exactly the type of these are things that need to happen. There's so many things that need to happen, and senior transfers is one part of it. Fitness, the youth, the club culture, youth investment, all of those types of things. Those are things that have huge, you know, future benefits that help you down the road that you don't notice now, but that we've just not been great at for quite a long time, and that if we are better at, will improve us, you know, in the long term. So it's really good to see this, and they're not done with this either. They intend to significantly add to this. You know, you look at the talents that are coming through in that respect, and we need more and more and more of it. And then you have the guys who are getting there, you know, and that means that they're going to need to be given a chance. The guys who are in first team training right now, guys like Shea Lacey, Mentato, you know, maybe Thwaites. Obviously, we know Cheeto Obi and these players, and there will be more as well. But some of these players now are reaching a point where, you know, they may get that kind of opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, this was one thing John Murtaugh did correctly that got us quite a few good young players, and that hopefully we will do more of and continue to do. But this is where I would say they've got it right, where obviously they do know what they're doing. If we had the money, then it would make a difference. But you have to do all these things. These are things that, you know, again, you just got to do. And Ruben Amorim is very good at bringing young players through. So you have the right person involved. If he spots their talent, if he sees them, let's see what happens on the tour. If he likes them, he will bring them through. He's not stubborn in that respect, but he does have a good eye for it and wants to make sure they're actually good enough. And maybe a lot of them just haven't been, but hopefully more of them will be. We've seen the chances he gave to Cheeto. We've seen the chances he gave to Heaven. We've seen the chances he gave to Amos and Fredrickson and other players. If he thinks that they can do it, he will give them chances as the season goes on. So these are things that have to happen, right? That haven't been. So yeah, there's a lot of pieces to making a successful club. Not doing this is a big reason why we end up in the financial shitter, and every summer we need so many players and we have no solutions internally, that a lot of other clubs solve their problems with those types of things. So it doesn't replace the need for transfers, but it is a very important and effective part of doing business effectively in the future. And obviously, you know, that leads us into the sell-on aspect of football. Right now, we're getting 15, 16 million simply in sell-ons. Now, the easy argument could be made, well, you know, we're getting these sell-ons and we could have made a lot more money if we'd kept these players. There's an argument to be made for that. I think especially Alvaro in particular, but at the same time, they wouldn't necessarily make it at United in the same way. Development doesn't work the same way at the same types of clubs, right? we've talked about this with strikers and Hoyland and such. Like, it's okay to fail at 2021 if you can fail, if you can fail, if you can be allowed to fail, if you can be at places. Alvaro being able to go to Preston, being able to go to Benfica, it's a different environment, it's a different pressure, it's a different atmosphere, it's a different world. Would he have done the same at United? Probably not. We would have been good anyway, but the ability for these players to have developed away from United as young players is significant, in that respect. We've seen that as well. So, it's a type of thing that, Elanga wasn't great at United, and he moved to Forest, and Forest, he play a style that suited him really, really well. Now, funnily, amusingly, Elanga might have been quite good for Ten Hag's, basketball, but he might have he suited the way Forest wanted to play so much. If Elanga had stayed at United, would he be who he is now? Would he be going for 55 million? Absolutely not. There's absolutely no chance, right? Because he got the right environment, the right place, the right thing that made it, that made it work for him in the long run. So it's a bit of both ways. Hopefully we can do better at developing certain players and improving them, but at the same time, it's not like they were guaranteed if they'd stayed at United to become the same player. In fact, probably not, in many respects. But that's normal. There's a lot, there's a lot of clubs where they move players out and they get sell-ons and things. I mean, City have so much money come in through sell-ons. Why didn't they keep them? You know what I mean? Well, if they'd kept him, they would have made 50, if they kept Lavia, they would have made 50 million on him. If they kept Sancho, they would have made 90 million on him, but they didn't. But it's not counted against them, because why would it be? You move those players on, and maybe you don't have the space and time for them at United, they develop elsewhere, and you get your sell-ons and things like that. As long as you're creating a good first team and there is a pathway for good young talents to come through, then it's okay. So maybe they would have made it. I wish we'd given more chances to Alvaro in particular among the group of players, but given the situation that we were in. But would he have become who's become? I don't know. I don't think so particularly. I'm not so sure about that. So we will have to see. But the sell-ons are good. The 15, 20 million, whatever the heck it is going to make a difference to us. It's going to improve things. It's going to help us with the ability to make some money, which is desperately needed. But yeah, it's desperately needed, because there are obviously other things we need to do beyond Mbumo. It's clear we don't want to necessarily go and spend the money elsewhere until we kind of have it. Chair went down and set up, until we kind of have it nailed on as to where this is going to end on Mbumo. Certainly a challenge with the Mbumo situation right now is seeming more and more like it's a cash issue. Why we can't just get the deal done, because obviously we all know what they want. The only logical reason it's not done yet is whether or not, the only logical reason that it's not done yet is whether or not we can actually pay the fee on this, or whether, where that ends. So I think there's something in that as well. So the sell-ons will help. That profit will help. From a PSR perspective, it's going to make it easier for us to do the deals afterwards. Obviously, the biggest factor, though, the biggest problem that we have right now, in terms of where we're going, in terms of where we're going, is the wages. The biggest issue we have is the wages. The wages are the crippling aspect of this, because that is the ongoing money that is coming out. Is the sell-on money already in our budget? No, it comes in the same way that the player is sold. So we were discussing that the other day. It is if if the player sold for 5 years, usually the sell-on is paid over the 5 years. If the player sold in one batch, then the sell-on is usually paid in one batch. So a few things, in that certainly that, we'll get some money. It's going to be over time. The PSR benefit is immediate. The cash benefit is kind of minimal. From a PSR perspective, it's good, gives us more space. It helps us with the further deals that we do to not be so limited, but we still do have this cash issue as well. But the biggest thing, again, that needs to be solved is these wages, because the wages are these massive, like sell-ons, we're getting some money now. We get it in one go. The wages are this massive. I mean, just bear in mind something, all right? Cash-wise. Here's where things get really, really complicated that I don't want to necessarily get into because we don't know. When do we get money? What if we literally don't have the cash to make the Mbumo deal until, let's say, a sponsor payment comes in on July 15, and then we have the cash to put the extra money towards it? You know what I'm saying? We don't know shit like that. And when the money is so tight at United, that's the kind of stuff that literally holds up deals that we can have absolutely no knowledge of why, and no one will ever say it, and we'll never know. But it can matter. I don't know if it matters. But if you look at the problem on this cash perspective and wages, and there will be sponsorships coming, by the way. Ornstein, I said this about that meeting at the end of June, that one of the things that was discussed is sponsorships and that they have some things coming. Ornstein said a couple days ago that there are sponsorships coming, and I strongly suspect they're coming with the the training ground in August. And again, it's like maybe we're literally needing a sponsorship payment to come in order to put more cash forward for the Mbumo deal. But one of the reasons for that is you look at the wages. Sancho, we're paying his full wages now since he's come back from Chelsea. That means he's cost us in July, he will cost us 1.2 million. Okay. Rashford, another 1.2 million. Anthony, another, hold on. Let me just do some math here. On the main 4 one-to-ways. So we're paying about 3 or 4 million a month in costs, cash out the door for these players that we're trying to sell. 3 or 4. I didn't say Mbumo in August. I'm not saying Mbumo in August. My point is maybe that cash is needed, and there's other sponsorship payments and things like that. But 3 or 4 million in cash walking out the door in August. Well, you have to think of that from a standpoint of a transfer. If you're trying to buy a 60 million player and paying in August, if you're trying to close a 60 million transfer, even if you're paying in installments, that might be 25 to 30% of the installment, that you're trying to pay. Now, obviously, look, of course, you can do things like you can put the money on the credit card if you know the money is coming in. And that's why I'm saying, no, I don't think we're waiting until August for those payments to hit. I'm giving you a theoretical, situation on this. But what we do not know is whether all these, how these amounts in terms of wages and things are affecting the amount of cash outlay that we have. This is the biggest thing crippling United. So obviously, that leads us into the Marcus Rashford situation. This is like super heating up when it comes to him and Barcelona. Now, I don't know if this is 100% true or not. There has been some talk that I think is real of there has been some talk which I think is real of that's why I'll share this here of Pini Zahavi, who'd been helping Rashford. There was something about this that came out months ago. There might be something in it. Anyway, you get the fun Spanish media, saying they've pictured Hansi Flick, Laporta, and Pini Zahavi talking together about Marcus Rashford, and that Zahavi is helping on this deal. Now, maybe there's some truth into that. There has been some validity to Zahavi maybe helping out on some things with Rashford, on getting a deal done. So maybe this is meaningful, maybe it isn't. I would have to find out to clarify for sure. Because yeah, there was some people saying stuff about that before, but that could be meaningful. We've gotten a lot of reports on Rashford. Just the wages coming off would be really, really significant. One second. Sorry, I was just checking on something. Anyway, so that's something we'll have to find out. Yeah, they were trying to see. I got a new check came in, so it's time to push a little bit more propaganda. But it bounced, so I'm gonna criticize them now. Actually, is what happened. Um, that's how that works. Anyway, yeah. So fuck me, man. I mean, this stuff is limiting, and it is frustrating. I'm frustrated. Like, let's put it this way. Like, I'm regardless of who to blame for all of this, because the blame for me is really, really clear, as to why we ended up in the situation that we're in today, and how long this has been coming in the reality of it. Um, I am I'm certainly like frustrated because, like I said, to me there's five things. There's all these things that have to be done for the club to be successful. There's the fitness aspect of it. There's the injuries. That stuff being broken is going to screw you over. There's youth investment and the youth building. The youth building, having players come through, properly investing there and growing. There's things like proper wage structures, which impress upon future transfers and things like that. There's the culture of the squad, the togetherness, the happiness, the alignment of the team itself and where they're going. There's actually having a formulated style of play for the coaching staff, to the analysts, to everybody involved, so that things can actually make it onto the pitch and you can actually see your ideas getting played out. All of those things add up to success.
Surely
in addition
he will want
to
3 weeks at least with new
yeah,
buys.
for sure. He's going to want him on the tour. He's going to want at least the two forwards on the tour, no doubt, 100%. All of those things add up to success. All of those things lay the foundation for success. Transfers over top of all of that being broken doesn't do anything. But all of that is just the foundation, and it will keep you in a good place. We need to do more. Of course, then you've got to add the quality, because that's how high you can reach with that. That's how quickly you can build up. That's how high the floor is the quality of your players. For me, if we only had Cunha and we improved all of those things, the floor is probably, I think we'd be in the 7 to 10 range in the league. Maybe 8 to 10 range in the league. I'm not happy with that. That's frustrating to me, because I know we can do better than that, and I know we should be able to do better than that. That is frustrating, and I am frustrated. I'm weighing up whether to be worried or not. Now, again, like I said, I can do that without being concerned about who the hell is to blame, things like that, because a whole lot of shit has happened that has led us to this point. But I'm weighing up concern, because time is ticking on, and each day I'm like, a little bit more like, maybe there's cause to concern. Regardless of who's to blame, there's cause to concern that maybe we're not going to get what we need this window. Now, for me, the minimum is, Mbumo, Cunha, and at least a keeper in my mind. I would like more. Of course, I want a striker, 100%. But That's what the minimum. If we add that, I think we'll do better. I think we'll do better and better, and it's just going to keep raising that floor of where we can get to. But yeah, I'm like considering concern at this point in time. All right, I'm negotiating whether or not to be worried yet, and in the coming days, I will decide whether I'm worried about our summer and where it's going to end up. I've known it's not going to be. I've known what it's not going to be. So but I know what we need, and right now I'm concerned. I have my concerns, but I'm not yet worried. But I could be. I could be soon. We need to, if some of these players don't move, like if we don't see movement in the sales in the next week to 10 days, I'm going to start to be worried, okay, about the sales. Because yes, clubs are going to be waiting for us closer to wait later in the window and all of that. I know that for sure, but we've got to see something happen. Something has to happen in, the next 7 to 10 days on one of these players moving on, because we're going to need that money in order to do deals later. So getting loans out in the final week of the season isn't going to help us. So it can't be too late. It needs to be cooking and like actually being sold. Some players need to be sold in the next 7 to 10 days. They need to be sold, gone. At least one. The sell-ons is good. The sell-ons is good and helps us, and it's actually a good benefit. But we need to move at least one of these players on heavy wages out fast. We have to move one of these players out quickly in order to be able to do the further deals that we're going to do. We have to. For sure. So that we can get to the next signing. On Mbumo, it has to be done before the tour. Then you're gonna find me. Here we go. I'm concerned. Yeah, you got yeah, you did. You've been a member long enough. You got Cantona. Here we go. Exclusive James, and kind of worried about where we're gonna end up. Confirmed. If he's not with the team on that tour for sure, then you're gonna find me worried. So, I'm not blind to the situation in the slightest. There's a lot of good things that are happening. These things need to happen. I'm not yet worried about them, but I am considering whether to be worried. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see where we are over the coming days, especially with Mbumo moving to, needing to return to training with Brentford on Monday. The minute he returns to training on Monday, I start to go, this isn't looking good. I've seen this story before where a player returns, you're hoping they're going to push, you're hoping they're going to get things over the line. Things don't happen the way you want. They return to training, and then the deal is off. I will worry. That will give me a jump. It'll give me a jump, like hearing that Garnacho was going to come back into the team, and even though that wasn't true, that'll give me a bit of if he returns to training next week, which is probably going to happen, it feels like it, I will be strongly considering an opinion of dump the deal for now. Don't ruck away from it fully. Dump the deal for now. Go get a striker tomorrow. And then tell Brentford, sorry, don't know what to tell you. You being dicks about this deal, it can't get done on terms that'll work for us. If we make some sales, we'll come back for it. So that's my view on it. If that happens and he's in training next week, I'm gonna be saying dump it. Go get Ollie Watkins. Go do something else right now to get a striker in, so that we have two forwards for the tour. Because getting a striker in, as much as I really want Mbumo and I really rate him, getting a striker in is huge. If we get a striker in, then obviously we can play Cunha, a striker, and Bruno as a front three. And then you can play Casemiro and Menu, Ugarte and Menu, Casemiro, Ugarte, all of that in the midfield. and you're fine. It's still a very good team then. It's still a very, very good team. So it's not going to make it worse. You know, if there's some interesting, I'll just say there's some interesting intrigue in reports out of Portugal, who have been, by the way, extremely ahead on this whole Gyökeres thing, and seemingly have had the info like well ahead of absolutely anybody else on what's going on. And they've said some really interesting stuff. Um, you know, they're saying that United are remaining super attentive, that United have expressed a willingness to make some kind of offer for Gyökeres at a certain price that's better than what Arsenal are willing to offer at this point in time. I'm not saying that we're going to get him. I'm not trying to bring up hope on that again, because I don't think we will, and I think he will end up now at Arsenal. But this thing has twisted so many times. If that Arsenal deal stalls longer and keeps stalling to the point where Gyökeres says, "All right, you know what? I just need a move now. I'm this isn't working." He's holding out on training. Um, if he turns around there, then you go, do we just walk away and just go get Gyökeres in? You know, maybe we do. You know, just go throw the money. Like, that's what I would suggest. Go test the waters for Gyökeres if Brentford aren't moving. Um, and if that doesn't work, go buy Watkins. You know what I mean? There's different things that we can do. There's different things that we can do. You know, if this thing stalls out, and I would like them to be active on that front. Um, but I'm encouraged on, for certain reasons anyway, that they know what they're doing, but the proof will be in the doing soon enough, I suppose. And that's what we're going to have to see. So yeah, there's that. What else did we want to talk about today? Not much. When do we pivot? When do we pivot? It's a good question. For me, it's next week. That's a hard line for me because, let's see, United schedule. United, oops, that giving me United Airlines. United play Leeds in Sweden, right? The Friends Arena. Oh, France, football France. On July 19th. So that's next Saturday. Okay. If and then we're gonna be like another game, and then traveling to the US, all of that. We have to pivot next week. Monday, Tuesday, if there's no progress on Mbumo and he's back in training, go get somebody else. Go make another deal. Go get something else over the line. Yeah, they're flying to the US on the 22nd. I know that. I need to figure some dates out, by the way. I need to figure a couple of things out. That reminds me I gotta like send a message on that to find out the dates for certain things, because I need to attend to certain things, but I'm not hearing the dates anytime recently. For when I need to be in Chicago. But anyway, we'll see about that. I think I have it right in what I'm planning for, but we'll see. So technically, yeah, Sean, we can technically. We have a credit line, we have PSR space and things like that. The issue is that, no, I'll be doing live streams on the US tour. I'll be doing videos daily. I'll try to do some from like, I'll be making hopefully some content from training as well, maybe some interviews and things like that as well. So we'll see. There'll be plenty. I still have the mushroom stuff. But no, we can technically spend the money. We could technically buy multiple players. But as I said then, it would be essentially irresponsible because you're talking about borrowing from, you're taking a big risk on the future, and you are borrowing from the credit line to do it. That's the concern, essentially. That's the main concern, that you have right now, and that's what they don't want to do. That's what they've kind of agreed not to do from a financial responsibility sense. They technically could, and if the crazy opportunity presented itself, sure. But yeah, we'll see. The link up on United View. Oh, it'll be nice. We don't want to keep adding more debt, especially right now. I often wonder if the people in your office are afraid of you and think you're a lunatic. This whole office is empty. It's just me at this point. So it's all good. The people on the other side of the wall, though, I wonder. Because there's an office next to me that's not mine. They might be curious what the hell goes on over here all the time. So yeah, that's my view. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, that's my pivot. If there's nothing on Mbumo, then go get the next signing done. And then, otherwise I'm gonna start getting really worried. And otherwise I'm gonna start getting worried under on the sales as well. We need some sales for the next thing. We need at least one of these big players out. We need something on Sancho in particular. This Juventus story, like we need some conclusion on all of this. Or Anthony to Batiste, Rashford, something has to fucking happen soon. Okay, something's gotta happen on one of these, or we're gonna be seriously starting to worry about it. So yeah, I'm approaching concern stages. Okay, yeah. All right, that's it. It's Friday. I got stuff to do. I will be doing some things this evening, and all of that. I'll be back tomorrow for something, maybe the afternoon. Hopefully with some updates. A couple things I am following up on, so I'll see if I have them by then. But thanks for hanging out with me on this Friday. Appreciate you all. Enjoy your Friday evening. Enjoy your weekend. And I will catch you all later. Make sure to like the video on the way out. Like, subscribe, notification, all of that. And I'll see you later. Okay, everyone?